have a problem with Linux elitism because I think that Linux is awesome and more people should use it. And an elitist mindset is just keeping newbies from trying it out. Also, we've all been noobs at some point and didn't know shit about anything. Shouldn't we be kind of happy that we're not anymore? It is this high school mentality of, oh, if you're not doing it like this, like I do it, then you're lame and not cool. If you're not doing everything in the TTY, why do you even have Linux? As if humans weren't visual creatures and needed visual feedback every fucking day in their life. What? But on your operating system you have to try and do everything that you possibly can in the terminal, otherwise you're a failure. At least that's what it feels like when you read the comment section under certain videos, and also the general vibe you get from Stack Exchange questions and stuff like that. Oh, Stack Exchange, that's a personal favorite of mine, because one thing that I cannot understand, and I don't mean intellectually, I mean logically, I cannot follow the logic of people who are like, oh, I'm gonna go on a forum, I'm not gonna earn any money for doing this, I'm gonna answer thousands of questions for free, and 50% of my answers are going to be like, just Google it. Why are you on this forum? Also, the person you're assuming could have just Googled it obviously couldn't. Otherwise, why did they post it on the forum? Obviously, they wanted another answer than that of a search engine. That's the point of a forum. Human interaction. And if the question is stupid, nobody forces you to answer it. But if you're about to answer it, you can also do it in a meaningful way without telling the person that they're stupid. Even if they are stupid, just try it. It also does something with your own brain to be nice to others and just don't let yourself react in that way. And yes, I do get it. There are stupid questions. There are questions of which I think, why didn't you just Google this? And I might provide a Google link to this person and be like, here, it's like the first entry. Just look at this. Maybe next time, you know? But then there are also the ones where the people answering the question kind of just don't want to read between the lines and see the user's problem or issues with understanding certain things. Because if you're a noob, you don't know terminology, you don't know a lot of things. You will not know what a minimal example is or what basic info to provide to people so they can help you with your question. This is all new to you, so you just come to a forum and hope that the nerds will be nice to you. And that is why I think we should not be like the cool kids in high school who are like, oh, please give me your math homework, but I will still treat you like crap. Can we just not do this whole we're the cool kids and you're not one of us thing and just be like, oh, you want to be one of us? Here's the way. Oh, you don't know shit? Well, start reading this and this and this and here you go. More like that. And I mean, the forum thing is debatable. I can certainly see why some people are annoyed with some other people, as I said. But in my opinion, it's a problem with a certain way of thinking, as in, oh, I am better than you. I am better than a Mac user or a Windows user, or even certain distros like, oh, my distro is so much harder than yours. You know, I had to compile my own kernel. I do everything in Vim. What do you know? Oh, you're still using the GUI. What a normie. And I mean, I get it. It's cool. For instance, I use Debian because I want the rolling updates. But I'm not gonna lie, it often causes problems. And in general, Linux distributions, they all have different issues, and it's okay to say that Linux isn't perfect and that it's expected that you run into some sort of trouble. Instead of reacting to every single problem report, especially if it's like on YouTube and somebody's talking about their issues with their system, and then everyone's just going like, well, but it works on my machine. I've never had a problem with that. How can you say that this or that is unstable? It is certainly not. I am a sysadmin. Sure you are. And on my computer it just runs so smoothly. Great, good for you. That doesn't solve the user's problem who is talking about it. It will just incentivize this person to next time not talk about it publicly. I wish like the whole attitude would shift a little bit more towards, how could we call it, Linux positivity, like body positivity, but not a fallacy. That would be cool. You know, we could just welcome all distributions and not shame newbies for starting out using Ubuntu or something easy, because starting with something easy is a way in which you avoid frustration from the start. You start with a low frustration tolerance and then build continuously until you're ready to, I don't know, install Arch or whatever high skill level signaling distro you prefer. Personally, I'm not getting into discussions about how something works on someone's computer versus on mine anymore. I cannot give you advice on that. I'm here, you're there, and I will not argue with people over whether or not they have a certain error and it's their fault or not, because I cannot see that. But I want to encourage people to try out new things and not be frustrated and search for solutions without facing backlash all the time. Also, it's not about being a noob or a normie at all. You can be really good at programming on any kind of platform. You can be a .NET developer. You will need Windows, all right? I mean, yes, I know it's possible to do that on Linux, but usually you work with a Windows computer if you're doing .NET stuff. You can be super awesome at that programming language and somebody from the Linux community will still call you stupid. I don't think that's right. To me, that is just a weird definition of skill, because skill level should not be normalized by the distribution you use. It's not like, oh, if you divide it by Windows, then all of a sudden you're a 0 dot something, but if you're a Linux admin, wow. Moreover, every system has its applications, and I would not need a Windows for anything in my personal life. But I understand how people need it in a large company, or, I even see how certain, graphic designers and people in advertising prefer Mac OS, because they have always been working with it, they are happy with it, all their applications work well with it, and they do a lot of Photoshop things, I guess. I understand where it's coming from, even though I personally would prefer a Windows over an Apple computer just for the price point. It doesn't seem like an economic choice. But the point is, if you say, oh, this is stupid, instead of saying, I think this is objectively not such a good choice for your business and here are the reasons. If you're just saying, oh, you're stupid for using this, you will never convince that person to switch sides, especially not to something as rarely used as Linux. If you want to convince people to try Linux, you have to show them that, first of all, the Linux community is cool and welcoming, and, we are happy if there are more Linux users because, for instance, I hope that more users correlates with more donations to open source projects. And that would be awesome, because that would make then these projects better. And then we would have more widespread of Linux, because the initial hurdle of installing it and using these applications would become lower, and that would be a good thing. Okay. Now a story from my life and how I ruined stuff in my first distros that I had. In the beginning, I added all sorts of weird repos and basically fucked up my system. I know many people who were not able to do updates anymore because they had so many interfering things installed on their Linux computers, and they thought they needed it. They needed sandboxing or different package managers, even though you need mostly just one. You don't need 5 different installers for your software. And then in the end, I would usually have to install it all over again. That is why I tried so many distributions in the beginning. I started out using Ubuntu, or do you say Ubuntu? And then after that, I used Ubuntu. In the meantime, I used Arch Linux and Manjaro Linux. And then eventually I switched to Debian, which is what I am using now. To me, it's completely irrelevant what kind of distribution you use. If you are telling me, oh, I use Kali Linux or I use Arch Linux and I like it, and that is my perfect Linux for me, that's awesome. I just don't like it when people go over it like, oh, if you're not doing this, you're bad, or my distro is better than yours. Maybe it is, but it's just better for you, and mine is better for me. And that's okay. I also think that it's fine to joke and shit a little bit on Mac users every once in a while, or Windows users, whatever you prefer. And I hope that everyone knows it's all in good fun. Like, on this channel, I'm sure I make jokes about myself and others using these operating systems just because I found a lot of things annoying about these systems. But it's the same as with going vegan or living more eco-friendly, which are things that, the first thing I'm working on that, and the second one I'm also doing that, have been doing it for a while. I try to avoid trash where I can, but you know, sometimes life happens. For instance, we use cloth diapers for our kid, and a lot of people would be like, oh, that sounds like so much work. And then I'd show them and they'd be like, oh wow, this is actually cool. Like, oh, can you show me more? Oh, and they're so fluffy and cute. And that is the stuff that convinces people, not, oh well, normal diapers are so wasteful. And by the way, if you are eating the animals and drinking the milk that is not for you, you are a horrible person. Did I do that right with the vocal fry? So don't go radical vegan on people who don't use Linux, and be nice in the forums. That's it.